Denizens of the Comics Verse. Mark Bouchard here at C2E2 with Double Take. So, I gotta ask, all the 10 books you guys are putting out are based on they take place in an extended universe that's based on the Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
So I've gotta ask, why is this significant? And what does this mean for that universe?
Well, Mark, essentially, because all 10 titles take place in and around the events of the actual film from 1968, fans of the film won't be disappointed because we've got characters that are from the film. But people who just like the idea of a common universe, which I think you can say for most comics fans, right? You like to feel like you're part of something bigger than what you're reading. It seems to be the right way to go when it comes to building a new comic company. So, we've got 3 books that follow characters from the film. The rest of the books are new stories from new characters, from different perspectives, and you take something as seminal, as incredible as Night of the Living Dead was. Romero's, it was a masterpiece, and done on a dime. And take it out to its nth degree in every direction. And we're not just talking zombies either, We're talking about, if you want to name a comic book trope, you're going to find it somewhere, you know what I mean? Because comics should be fun. And at the end of the day, the universe theory, that the idea of having everything put together that way just makes our books more fun.
Okay. Yeah, and so since everything is being released at the same time, all 10 books are putting out issues at the same time. Are we going to see any overlap? Meaning, how are the titles going to interact with one another? Yeah, if at all.
There's definitely overlap already. I mean, there's one of my characters appears in another book. Because it all takes place in the same location, the fictional location of Evans County, Pennsylvania, there is plenty of overlap there. For example, my book, Dedication, takes place at a grocery store in Evans County. The book that Gabe writes now, Remote, takes place at a radio station in Evans County. So everything is all local. It all crosses over.
Are we going to be working towards one big climactic conclusion of all 10? Or is that something you don't want to talk about?
Well, I mean, yes. Why not? Yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's a lot going on right now. We're on issue 3 now. Issue 4's in May. Issue 5's in July, and yes, we're working towards something. Is it the end of our universe? Absolutely not. There's more to come in the next little while as we move forward. We'll have trade paperbacks, and after that, some of these books will move on and continue. Some of them will be rolled into other books because, again, you're in that small environment. But then by the end of this year, we'll have 5 to 7 new titles that take place in 2016 instead of 1966. Same universe. 50 years on from what we're reading about now, superheroes have emerged. There will be a couple of action books, a noir book, and Pennsylvania has become a wasteland. So there's a lot of really fun stuff coming.
Awesome. So one thing that was really interesting to me about Double Take is that it's owned by Take-Two Interactive, a video game distributor. They put out BioShock and GTA. So what is this? How does this approach? How do they approach this company that makes such fantastical, very didactic games? How do they approach the 1960s? And yeah.
Well, I mean, right off the bat, you could see their pedigree. They only publish amazing products, like you said, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, all the NBA 2K games, like everything they publish is amazing. BioShock.
Take-Two is a really interesting company because they own a bunch of different studios, right? So they own Rockstar, they own 2K. They own the studio that used to be called Irrational. It's not anymore. We're not sure what it's called yet, I think. But they also own Double Take. What's beautiful about Take-Two is that they recognize the creative abilities and talents that exist within these studios, and they stay hands-off. They let us create our own IP. They let us create our own stuff, and they don't tell us you should do this or you should do that. That's why Borderlands is so amazing. That's why BioShock is an incredibly rich environment to enjoy. It's why GTA is such a phenomenon, is because these creators are able to let their imaginations run wild, and it's what they allow us to do as well. So our approach to the 1960s is simply, what was the 1960s like, right? Get it as correct as possible so that you can really immerse yourself in the 1960s. And if anybody's read the books and flipped through them, there's a ton of stuff that, like, supplementary materials to kind of get you in that mindset. There are fake ads, there are, then and now sections to kind of compare the world today to the world in 1960. So we draw a lot on metaphor in our books. Everything that's going on in our books is going on right at the time when the Vietnam War is really ramping up. And, like most zombie stuff that's set in the 60s, a lot of it is very much a metaphor for the treatment of what many people would consider the other, right? The other side of things, different races, that sort of treatment. So we treat it in a traditional sense, untraditionally.
Okay, and aside from this creative control, how does being owned by a video game distributor set you apart from other publishers?
See, that's the biggest part. We know how lucky we are, because the publishing landscape right now, especially independent publishers, we are all fighting over 9% of the market. There's nearly 100 independent publishers fighting over 9%. So to be able to have the ability to have a parent company that is so successful and understands the importance of coming to market strong is the most beneficial thing to us, because there are so many companies out there, so many publishers that don't have that privilege, don't have the capital behind them to be able to do things, what we think is the right way in terms of marketing and publishing things and printing on quality materials, things like that. We have a lot of advantages, and we don't take that for granted.
One of those advantages, I think, would be Bill Gymnast. How does the man who helped create the Ultimate Universe, how does he pushing this creatively?
And I think we can both talk to this because we both work with Bill on a very, very close level. Bill is an insane genius. And I say that, and I think he would smile hearing me say it, as a matter of fact. There is a spark of something within that guy where we'll be around a table and we'll be talking about some creative ideas, and someone will say something, and then Bill will come up with an idea, and everyone at the table will look at each other and go, how is it that no one else has ever thought of that? Like, his brain works in a different way than anyone else I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. And as a result, he inspires the best out of his people. He's always working hard to figure out the next way to do things, and as a result, we all work hard for him.
Cool. And so I also want to talk about your digital app. So in addition to the TPBs and issues, you'll be putting them out on this native comic app, which is the first one, I believe, of its kind. So how is this app different from Marvel Unlimited, and how is this going to change how you release your work?
Well, right off the bat, we create our books for digital first. So they're created like storyboards, where there's motion involved, and the app really promotes that. Like, you can see when you're scrolling through, like, it's almost like a stop motion animation, and then they're created for physical books after, like, they're altered for the physical books after that.
Okay. And do you think there's an advantage to doing this creatively? Or what are the advantages of doing this creatively?
I guess it's good for us as writers, because we plot out the action first and then we fill in the dialogue after that. So everything is it's almost like when we write the action, we write a shot list of all the things we need to see. Then they send that out to the artist. The artist brings back the art, and then we fill in the dialogue after that. So it's very, it's a little bit different than how traditional comics are made.
Unfortunately, unless you guys have anything to add, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Mark Bouchard, C2E2. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on social media at ComicsVerse. Remember to check out Double Take, and This Is Us